It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about Databag. Now, don't get this confused with Datadog. That is a whole different thing. Databag is a decentralized communication platform for the web. It is federated or federatable, let's put it that way. But it's a chat platform, and it's really awesome. It's got a lot of capabilities, so you can kind of see some of the stuff down here with the screenshots, but they have mobile applications. You can do it through the web. It doesn't really matter where you get to it from, but you can set this up for your team, for your family, for your friends, whatever you really want to do, and then you can federate if you want to. Of course, it's not required. So what are you going to get out of this? You're going to get public private key-based identity, which is really nice. It's not bound to any blockchain or any kind of hosting domain or anything like that. End-to-end encryption. So the hosting admin cannot view sealed topics. So we'll see what sealed topics are here in a minute when we look at the user interface. Federated, so accounts on different nodes can communicate. That's awesome, because if you want to spread out, you can. If you want to run more than one instance and then connect those instances together, you can do that as well. Topic-based threads, this is how they really organize things. Instead of chatting directly to a person, you create a topic, and then you add the people that you want involved in that topic. So think of it kind of like Teams or Rocket Chat or Slack, those kind of things, but a little bit more specific. So you create a topic, you pick the person or persons that you want in that topic, and then you start messaging. So you can create all kinds of topics, and then you can discuss those topics. You could just create a general topic called direct message to whatever the person's name is, and add that person, and now you've got a direct messaging capability. It's really just super simple, but it's a really great concept as well. It's lightweight, so you can run this thing on a Raspberry Pi Zero. That's pretty incredible. You can run the server on a Raspberry Pi Zero if you want to. I don't suggest it, but you can. It's responsive. It resizes well for phone, tablet, PC. I'll show you that in the browser in a minute, but they also do have like actual apps for the App Store, for Google Play and Apple, so depending on which device you've got that option. And I did test it. It does do push notification, which is excellent. That is always something I'm looking for on a self-hosted application. I want to get push notifications when people send me a message, because I don't think to just go check and see if anybody sent me anything lately. Unlimited accounts per node, so host your whole family, your whole team, whatever you're wanting to run. And then mobile alerts, we just talked about push notifications and for new contacts and messages. So pretty awesome. So the installation is pretty straightforward. They've got Docker Compose already built in. And then he even gives instructions on how to use Portainer and Nginx Proxy Manager if you want to set it up that way. So we're going to go through this today. I'm going to use kind of a mix of these. I'm going to use the Docker Compose file and the Nginx Proxy Manager side, just so you guys can see how easy it is to get set up. The actual setup is going to take almost no time at all. Again, if you're trying to build a business and you want a communication platform that you can use, something like this where you're getting push notifications and good contact information out of the gate, you're looking for a way to do topics and really communicate with your team, I think this is a really cool option. It's pretty nice, and it's open source, self-hosted, really, really cool. I really appreciate that. So we're going to get into the installation right after this. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really, truly enjoy it, and I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. Alright, the first thing you want to do is log into the server that you want to install this on. Now we're going to use Docker today, so make sure you've got Docker Compose installed and ready to go, or that you've got Portainer installed so you can use that with his instructions that are given there. But I'm going to go to my server, and let's just use, 42, how about? So this is one of my Docker servers that I run all the time. It's just Ubuntu with Docker and Docker Compose already installed on it. So I'm just going to clear that out. I'm going to make this font a little bit bigger for you guys on the mobile devices. In order to get this, you're going to want to have Git installed, and you'll just come to the repository. I'll have this linked in the show notes in the description. Click on code, copy this URL right here. That's all we have to do. We're going to go back here, and we're going to say, I'm going to move into my Docker folder. So I want to make sure everything I do Docker is inside my main Docker folder all the time. So if I do an ls, you can see the different things that I've got running in here. And I'm going to do git clone, and I'm going to just paste in that URL. It's going to go grab this file, this project, and pull it down. I'm going to cd now into the new folder called Databag that just created. I didn't have to create it, it created it for me. And then I'm going to go a couple of folders deeper on this one. I'm going to go cd net/container. And if I do an ls, you'll see that there's a compose.yaml file right here. There's the Docker file, entrypoint.sh, transform. This has all the things in it that you're going to need to run this compose. So I'm going to just copy this file right here. I'm going to rename it basically, but I want to keep that original. So I'm going to say cp compose.yaml. This means copy the file called compose.yaml, and I'm going to rename this, or I'm going to give the copied file a name of docker compose.yml. So now if we do an ls, we'll see we've got our docker compose.yml right here and the original right here. So docker compose will also run this file, but it's going to see this one and it's going to prefer it, so that's fine. We're good. If we want to, we can name this .bak just to get it, make sure it doesn't get messed up. We can do mv compose.yaml, and we're going to just say compose.yml.bak because that's our backup file. So when we say mv, that's kind of like rename. It's really move, but you're renaming it by using that command. So we're just going to hit enter. And if we do an ls again, you'll see we've got the compose.yaml.bak now, and we've got our docker compose. So now we need to edit some things inside of the docker compose real quick. So we're going to do nano docker compose.yaml. And if you look here, it's a pretty straightforward compose file. So if you come all the way to the bottom, this is it. So we have to add a couple of things. So one, I don't like the spacing here. It needs an extra space. So go down and just move these things over so that they're spaced over 2 times for each item. It's just my preference probably, but I like it that way. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to type in environment and then a colon. Go to the next line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do a hyphen and a space. We're going to type admin in all caps. We're going to type equals, and then we're going to put in an admin password that we want to use. Now you should make this a long, strong password, and I mean like 25, 30 characters long. You don't have to remember it unless you're going to log into the other side, and you can always access it through this file if you need it. So I'm just going to make this, do not copy this. I'm going to make this PA55W0R, capital D, 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, exclamation point. So that's going to be our admin password. Now this is a terrible admin password. You should never use a password like this. But you should make a long, strong password that has uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, just like all the rules always say. So we're going to copy that password real quick. Now up here, if you have something on the server you're going to use already using port 7000, you need to change this. This is not a common port, so it's unlikely, but if you do, change it. On the left side only, do not change the right side. Only change the left side in Docker. But once you've got that port set to where you need it, we've got a volume right here that it creates inside of our folder here. That's fine. And everything else is set. So we're going to save with Control-O. Hit enter to confirm the name. Just double check. Make sure we didn't add anything extra by accident. Looks good. And Control-X to exit nano. So we've got our Docker Compose file set. So now we're just going to run Docker Compose up-D. That's the first command. That's going to say, run this thing, bring down all the stuff that I need, and bring up my container. Then I'm going to do an ampersand 2 times. That's the 7, the shift 7 in a US keyboard. It's that little symbol there, and it means now I want to run a second command. After that one finishes, run a second command automatically. We're going to do Docker Compose logs-f. This is going to say log out the output once you've got everything up and running so that we can see and make sure that there's no errors. So I'm going to hit enter. It's going to go pull down all of these containers, and there's quite a few, so don't worry about that. You're not even seeing them all because my screen font is too big, but let it pull those down. It's going to download them and extract them and do all the things that Docker Compose does. When you see that done message, you'll start getting logs, and probably this is about all you're going to see, but as long as you see starting server, it should be coming up and getting ready to run. Now the next thing you need to have in order to run this is you need to have a domain name. So if you send me a message later saying, do I need a domain name? The answer is yes, you'll need a domain name. Now you could use a DuckDNS domain, you could use your own domain, it's really up to you. I own the domain routemehome.org. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to my Nginx proxy manager. I'm going to go into my different proxies, and I'm going to add a new one, and I'm going to call this databag.routemehome.org. I own routemehome.org, and I have an asterisk, so a wildcard entry for routemehome.org pointing to my IP address. That means I can just create anything in Nginx Proxy Manager on the fly like this, and it's going to try to get to my IP address, which is great. Here I'm going to put in the IP address of my server, and then here, port 7000. We're going to say block common exploits, WebSocket support, and we're going to jump over to the SSL tab. We're going to say request a new SSL certificate, force SSL HTTP2, and I agree to the terms of service. Make sure your email is filled in and hit save. Now this takes a few seconds for Let's Encrypt to challenge the domain name and make sure everything is good, but if it's good, it should issue a full CA certified SSL certificate. It did. So now we're going to jump out here and we're going to go to databag.routemehome.org. Now I don't have any way to log in yet, so what you're supposed to do is go up here to this little gear icon in the upper right. You're going to click it, and remember that admin password that we created? We're going to paste that in here. We're going to hit login. It'll double check it, make sure it's good, and if it is, it's going to bring you to a page like this. Now there's a couple of things for you to do here. So here's one: reload accounts, log out. So kind of pay attention to those. But here's one that says configure server. So what's your server name? So we're going to put in databag.routemehome.org. This is kind of for the federation part. Our storage limit: how much per account? So you can set whatever you want. Let's just say 5 gigabytes per account. That may be too big, that may be too small. You need to figure out what's the best one for you. Account key type. So you can click this and see what the options are. You've got 2048, but I'd say 4096 is great. That's a really massive key. Enable push notifications. Enable image queue. Enable audio queue. Enable video queue. So those things are really important. So do that. Hit save. Now you want to create a link so that you can log in. Now when I tried to click on this button to get it to copy, but it wouldn't copy for me. So it's easier if you just highlight it, make sure you get everything, do Control-C and copy, open up a new tab, paste it in there, and it's going to bring you to a page to create your account. So I'm going to create my account. Of course, put in your password and then verify your password, and then click on Create Account. That's it. We are inside of Databag. Pretty much done with the main part of the setup. Now there's a few things to know about the user interface and how this works, but I also want to show you what happens when you start messaging people and how that functions. So the first things you want to do when you get into the Databag interface is actually look down here at the bottom, and it kind of tells you like, so first, set up your profile, connect with people, start a conversation topic. Now that part that we did where we created that link, that's pretty important because nobody else can get here because they don't have your admin password. So if you want to add people to your server, the only way that I can tell to do it is to click on this link. So you click on this, it's going to generate a new link. You can send that link to them through some other means, and then they can start trying to generate a new account. If I open up a private window and I go to, and you'll see I can't log in, I can't create an account, so there's nothing there for me to be able to do this. So we're going to go back to our installation, and we're going to go here, we're logged in, so we're going to go and we're going to say let's set up our user. So let's click here, we're going to go to account, and you'll see it pops open on the right side of the screen. So one, am I visible in the registry? This is a per user thing. So if you want people to be able to find you, the best idea is to say, yes, I am. You don't have to, but you should. The next thing is sealed topics. Are you going to allow sealed topics? So sealed topics means that users on your system can create topics that you're not going to be able to read. So they're going to be fully encrypted. I think it's great. It's fine if you let people do that. Just know that you're going to do that. And now you need to put in a password for that sealed topic. If you don't type them right, it doesn't like it. So make sure you type them correctly. Now down here at the bottom of this view, you'll see this option that says update profile. This is kind of the next step. So I want to put in my name, my location, and something about me. All right, I'm going to hit save. Now you can also put a picture or a photo of yourself on there. That makes it easier for people to make sure they're getting the right person when they start searching. But there you go. We've kind of got that part set up. We can close that. We can just say don't save for now. And when you come back here, when you're looking for contacts, once you get other people in your system, you'll be seeing this search bar, and it's a little confusing, or it was to me at first. You actually want to go down here to find contacts. So right now there's nobody else on my system. So if I type in the name of my test system, you can see that I have 2 users on that test system, so they're federated. These 2 systems can see each other because I set up that federation. So the users from that system could also see this user. So I'm going to add myself from that other system. And really I'm going to say, I want to save the contact, or I want to save and request that they actually accept me as a contact. So I'm going to say save and request. I'm going to go to my phone here and I'm going to record the screen. In the bottom right, I touch that icon and you can see here I've got this request at the top from my other server, from my other self. And I can see what's going on, and you can see there's a few items here that I can do. So I can say save and connect, save contact, ignore contact, block contact, or report the contact. So I'm going to say save and connect because I want to talk to Brian, right? So now I've done that. That's great. I can go back here. I'm going to create a new topic in the phone UI first. And we'll just call this DM with Bri. I'm going to say create. And I'm going to say, hey, how's the channel? I'm going to send that. So one thing I forgot to do is you actually have to say who you want to be in that conversation. So I'm going to tick off Brian. He's one of my friends. I'm going to say done. And now here on the main screen, you can see that that conversation popped up. I can click on it and I can answer. So I can say, so now I like the large text. So I'm going to say large here. There we go. And I can give them this message that says everything's going good and there's a ton of people checking out open source. There it is. You can see the text is a little larger. And on the phone side, I get a response to my message and I can see the conversation here. So I can't really record the phone getting a push notification, but you do get push notifications if somebody sends you a message. But I'm actually communicating between 2 servers that I've set up. So I set up the first one for testing, I set up this one for you guys, and my communication is up and running. I just need to add more users and we're going to be pretty much set. So when we talk about people being able to register for your Databag site, it's not enabled by default. And it's one of those things you have to actually change in the database. So I asked over on the GitHub page to find out, like, is this something I can enable somewhere? Is there a configuration that I'm missing? And the developer was awesome. He answered me. He said, hey, this normally isn't something that I enable by default, just so random people don't sign up for your site, but it can be enabled through the database. So if you're interested in that, I'll try to get the information and provide it to you guys in the show notes. But I did want you to know that that's why if somebody just comes to your site, this is going to be disabled. They can't just automatically go sign in. If they click the gear, they're going to get the same thing. They need to know that admin password that we set up in the beginning that's really long and strong, and then they could go in and actually do some stuff, but until they get that, that's not even available for them either. So when we're opened up in this new window, you can see that. When we come back to the window that we've been working in, you've got some extra options there. So you can go to that admin page, you can log in with that long password, and then the same way that you created the install link for yourself or the invite link for yourself, you can create the invite link for other people in your family. So that's what I did for my wife and set her up so that I could do some testing early on before I made the videos. That's really the only way you can add people. So when you start thinking about this as a tool for your teams, if it's a small business, 10, 12 people, maybe you feel like doing that. If you have a little bit bigger business where you've got 30, 40 people that you might need to be talking to, that could get pretty tedious trying to create all those invite links. It just depends on how much effort you want to put in. So there's other solutions out there for sure. There's Rocket Chat, there's Mattermost, there's Matrix, there's all these things. But this is by far the easiest to set up and get running system I've come across. It is the easiest to federate. I mean, you saw how fast I set that up. It's the starting point. So it's a really nice system because somebody can't just message you directly. They have to first make that request and you have to accept that request. I think that's pretty great. So especially when you're thinking about family or having anybody who could get on the system or be on a federated system and just randomly adding people and messaging them, I think a pretty awesome way to kind of shut things down. It's your open source advocate, and I'm back, and I've set up a store with a little bit of merchandise. I love being your open source advocate, but I want you guys to be the open source advocates with me. So if you want to, get out there and get some of this stuff. And if you do, let me know what you think of it. Thank you for subscribing. So this is Databag. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.